Have you ever found yourself in total darkness? I mean, a darkness so thick, it's like you can feel it. We all know that when it comes to darkness, there's a certain amount of danger that's there. It can be kind of confusing, certainly scary. It's kind of wild that today in our text it actually says that we live in a crooked and perverse generation. And that was clear back in the first century when that was stated. But I think we can all see that here we are in the 21st century, and there's no question we live in a train wreck. There's no question that the whole world lies in the power of the evil one, like 1 John 5:19 says, that he has created tremendous darkness. And because of that, there's a lot of danger. The reality is that that's just simply what happens when it comes to darkness. But you know what? One of the best things that we can ever do if there is darkness is just take some time and shine a little light on the situation. You know, it's interesting that when things are really dark, even just a candle can really make a difference in being able to have some serious success. In Ephesians chapter 5, verses 7 through 10, talking about darkness, it says, "Therefore do not be partakers with them, for you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of the light. For the fruit of light consists in all goodness and righteousness and truth, trying to learn what is pleasing to the Lord." You know, guys, it's kind of interesting that God would point out what a crooked and perverse generation we live in, and yet the key is adding a little bit of light. Now, today in our text, we talked about specifically how to avoid grumbling and complaining. Now, it's easy to look at that and go, I'm sorry, but I really can't. I can't do that. I'm going to grumble. I'm going to complain. But, you know, one of the things we can do is we can step back and recognize, you know, we actually can do this. Whether we do, that's a choice that we have to make, but we actually can do it. What I love about this, though, is did you notice that God says that when we do that, that we shine as lights in the world? It's interesting, the Greek there is where we get our English word luminaries. Literally means a star. So what God says is something as relatively simple as learning to avoid grumbling and complaining in this messed up, crooked, perverse, dark world makes us a star for God. We get to be that light. So I want to challenge you. I know it's not always easy to look for that total heart of thankfulness and gratefulness that we need to have in this life, but you and I have an opportunity to be a star for God. And I think we can agree as we look around at the very ugly, dark world that we live in, pretty much the last thing we need is more darkness. So this week, I want to challenge you. Join me. Let's decide to be a star for God this week simply by avoiding grumbling and complaining and making that difference that He wants us to in this world.